Alright, so we are going to take a look at finding missing sides using trig. Okay, the very first thing that you always want to do whenever you start these trig problems is to make sure that your calculator is set correctly. Okay, so we are going to check and make sure that our calculator is set to degree mode. Otherwise, it's going to give me all wrong answers because it's going to assume that I'm using something other than degrees. Another thing's called a radian, something you'll learn about later on. But for now, we just need to focus on degrees. Okay, so to set my calculator in degree mode, I'm going to click the button here that says mode. Okay, and I'm going to go down here where it says radian or degree. Okay, and I'm going to arrow over. I'm going to arrow over because I want degrees. So I'm going to hit enter so that I highlight degrees. And then I can just clear this page and it will save that setting. Okay. So looking first here at just sine of 32 degrees. Okay. Sine, cosine, and tangent, remember, are functions, kind of like adding, subtracting, and multiplying. Okay, they're just three different functions. So if I do sine 32, I don't need to do the degree sign because I've already told the calculator it's in degree mode. So I just need to close off my parentheses and hit enter. And so sine of 32 degrees is 0.5299. I could round that to just 0.53. Okay, cosine of 86 degrees. So again, cosine 86, I don't need to do the degree sign since I've already set my calculator. And I hit enter. And cosine of 86 degrees is 0.07. And then tangent of 60 degrees. So I'm going to hit tangent 60, close off my parentheses. I get 1.73. Okay. Please notice though that sine, cosine, and tangent are three different functions here. Okay, so it's very important that you set up your problems correctly. For example here, sine of 32 degrees is 0.53. Let's do cosine of 32 degrees. Okay, so if I do cosine 32, close off my parentheses, I see that I get 0.85. Okay, so sine is 0.53, cosine gives me 0.85. So it's very important whenever you're setting these up that you do use the correct trig function. Okay, so how to use our three trig ratios to find a missing side length. Step one, you're going to decide where to stand, so where to draw your little stick man. We're never going to use 90 degrees, and we're never going to use an empty angle. Okay. Step two, you're going to label the sides OA or H, depending on the information you got. Step three, you're going to choose which trig function you should use to solve these. Step four, write down your formula. 5, plug in the values. And then 6, type everything in your calculator to solve. Okay, so let's write down our formulas. Sine theta is equal to O over H. Cosine theta is A over H. And tangent theta is equal to O over A. Okay, so jumping right into these examples. 27 degrees here is the only angle. 90 degrees, remember we can't use that. Okay, so at 27 degrees here is where I'm going to draw my stick man. I'm going to label my sides O, A, or H. So whenever I look at this from 27 degrees, X would be O, and then 65 feet is across from my right angle, so this would be H. Right, so since I have my sides O and H, that tells me to use my sine function. So I'm going to write down my formula. Sine theta is equal to O over H. Alright, so now I need to plug in my information. Remember that theta indicates the angle. So I'm going to write down sine 27 is equal to O over H. So O was X, H was 65. Alright, so now that I have the problem set up, I need to solve for x. Okay, which means that I need to get x by itself. Right now it's on the top of my fraction, so I need to move this 65. I'm going to multiply by the bottom part, so I'm going to multiply by 65 on both sides. These are going to cross out. And then all I have to do is type this straight into the calculator. And remember, again, we got to make sure our calculator is in degree mode, which we've done, so we're good there. All right, and I'm going to type it in exactly as it shows up here. So 65 times sine of 27 degrees. And again, it's set these degrees, so I just need to type 27 and close off my parentheses. And I get 29.51. So x is equal to 29.51 feet. Okay, so let's look at example 2 here. Okay, 31 degrees here tells me that I need to draw my stick man at this angle. So I'm going to label my sides O, A, or H. Okay, so if my stick man is here, this is where I'm starting, then 12 would be labeled A, and X is across from the right angle, so that makes that H. Okay, so since I have A and H, that tells me to use cosine. I'm going to write down my formula. Cosine theta is equal to A over H. So I need to put all of my information from the problem into the formula exactly where it goes. Okay, so cosine theta, the cosine of my angle, which my angle was 31, is equal to A over H, so 12 over X. Okay, so this problem is going to require a few more steps than the last one. Right, X is on the bottom of my fraction this time, so I need to move it out of the bottom of the fraction before I can start this problem. I'm going to multiply both sides by X. X's will cross out here. Okay, so I'm going to come right down here and rewrite this. X times cosine 31 is equal to 12. So again, I'm trying to get X by itself, so I'm going to divide by what it's multiplied by. So I'm going to divide by everything here. Cosine 31. These are going to cross out. In my calculator, I'm going to type this in exactly the way it shows. Okay, so I'm going to use alpha y equals to pull up my fraction bar. On the top, I had 12. On the bottom, I had cosine 31. Close off my parentheses. Enter 13.999. I would round that up to 14. So x is equal to 14. Okay, so let's do some more. So looking at this next example here, okay, I have x and y. I'm going to have to solve these as two separate problems, okay, but I'm going to use 46 degrees for both. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my stick man here at this angle. So I label x would be O, y would be A, and then across from the right angle, 28 would be H. Okay, so I know that I need to use H for both problems. Okay, so let's solve for x first. X is the opposite side, and I'm going to use hypotenuse. Okay, so that tells me I need to use the sine function first. Sine theta equals O over H. Okay, so I'm going to plug in all my information. So sine of my angle, 46, is equal to O over H, x over 28. Okay, and so I need to solve for x. So I need to move that 28. Multiply both sides by 28 here. These will cross out. 28 times sine 46 gives me 20.14. Okay, so there is x. Now then let's solve for y. Okay, y is my adjacent side, and again, I'm going to use my hypotenuse. I know we solved for x, but just in case we made a mistake, we don't want to use that. We want to use what they gave us. Okay, so A and H tells me I'm going to use cosine. to solve for y. So I'll write down my formula, cosine theta equals a over h. Fill in my information, cosine of my angle is 46, is equal to a over h. So y over 28. Again, to solve here, I'm going to multiply both sides by 28. 28 times cosine 46 tells me that y is equal to 19.45. Okay, so again, here's a perfect example. I used sine on one and cosine on the other, so I got two different answers, which is exactly what I needed here. Okay, looking at this next example here. 32 degrees is pointing to this angle here, so this is where I'm going to draw my stick man. I'm going to label my sides. X would be O and 9 is A. There's nothing on my H side. So the trig function that uses O and A would be tangent. So tangent theta equals O over A. Fill in my information. Tangent of my angle, so 32, is equal to X over 9. Okay, I want to solve for X. So I'm going to multiply by 9, since that's what's on the bottom. Those are going to cross out. 9 times the tangent of 32 gives me 5.62. Okay, so the next example here. Okay, 45 degrees is going to be where I draw my stick man. So I label my sides O and A. Alright, so I have tangent for this problem. So I write down my formula. Fill everything in. So I have tangent 45 is equal to opposite is 15 over adjacent is x. Okay, so this is another one like on the front where it's a little bit longer. Okay, so I'm going to move x first since that's what's on the bottom of the fraction. Multiply both sides by x. So I'm going to come right down here and I'm going to rewrite that. X times tangent 45 is equal to 15. I want x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by tan 45. $15 divided by tangent of 45 tells me that x is equal to 15. Okay, and one last problem here. 44 degrees here tells me this is where I'm going to start from. So I'll label x as O, 48 would be H. So O and H tells me that I'm going to use sine. Sine theta is equal to O over H. So I fill everything in. Sine 44 is equal to, opposite is x, over hypotenuse is 48. Okay. Again, I want to get x by itself. So I'm going to multiply by what's on the bottom. Multiply by 48. Those will cross out. 48 times sine 44 gives me 33.34.